The killer husband, what seemed like a perfect plan to cover up a crime, completely unraveled. This video takes you into a gripping investigation where every piece of evidence connects to reveal the chilling truth about Juan Gonzalez, a husband who thought he could get away with murdering his wife. You'll be captivated by the details of his confession, the uncovering of GPS data, and the shocking conclusion of the case. Don't miss this intense journey to uncover the truth. Hit the subscribe button now so you won't miss more thrilling videos like this and get early notifications for exclusive content created just for you.
Completely.
The interrogation begins with unmistakable tension in the air,
where every piece of evidence connects to reveal the chilling truth about Juan Gonzalez, a husband who thought he could get away with murdering his wife. You'll be captivated by the details of his confession, the uncovering of GPS data, and the shocking conclusion of the case. Don't miss this intense journey to uncover thrilling videos like this and get early notifications for exclusive content created just for you. The interrogation begins with an unmistakable tension in the air. Juan Gonzalez, a 45-year-old man, sits before the detectives, appearing calm, but his every answer reveals troubling inconsistencies. "I don't know where she is," he says, his voice trembling slightly, while his eyes seem to avoid direct contact. The detectives notice something unusual from the very start. Contradictory statements, signs of deception, and mounting evidence make Juan the prime suspect. His outward demeanor might seem trustworthy, but is it all just a facade?
Well then, here a few months ago, I started noting a password on her phone, things like that. And I could walk in on her, she'd be on the phone, and she'd be like, "Okay, let me let you go." And it started getting to where here recently, like I'd ask her, "Who you talking to? None of your business." She said she's going to stay with a friend. It's there in the text messages. Okay. And I said
Did you say what friend she's going to stay, or just a friend?
A friend. Or Carmel Wynn. Anyway, so I said, "With who, Carmel?" And she said, "It's none of your business." So then I left her alone.
On the morning of May 11, 2016, Juan reported that his wife, Kathy Lewin, was missing. According to him, she left the house at 1:30 a.m. for her early shift at HEB. But then things started to get strange. Not only did Juan withdraw money from Kathy's bank account after she disappeared, but bloodstains were also found in the back of his truck. Behind the mask of a worried husband, could there be a meticulously crafted plan?
Okay, Juan, what I want to do is talk to you about what I found about your wife. Are you willing to talk to me and discuss what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I had told you, I did find out, I did a bunch of research. I had gone to HEB, not just that, but we also went to the cookie place where you and your wife worked, and did a lot of research, and I found out that she did have a double life. And she kept secrets from you, but she also kept secrets. She had 2 lovers.
Yeah, I knew that already.
Yes, and she kept... Okay. And on Wednesday, the day that she left, I need to go back and revisit and make sure I have all my bases covered. She goes in from what time to what time at HEB?
She was working that day. She went in at 2 in the morning. Okay. Supposed to be till 10:30, but she doesn't ever get off at that time.
Okay. And she works in the bakery as the
lead manager.
Okay. What time when she left that morning? Or she leave without you even knowing it?
I wake up and she's gone already. Mm-hmm. I wake up to make sure the front door is locked, like the screen door and the front door. Okay. Which, when I got up, it was already 6 o'clock because I get up to go to work at 7 in the morning.
Okay. So when she left to go to work at 2 a.m., were you up or asleep?
I was up.
Okay. What time did she leave?
She left early, like I told you that day. She had been leaving way before it was time to go. She probably left like 1:15, 1:30.
Okay.
The cracks in their marriage begin to surface. Juan admits that his relationship with Kathy had been strained. The reason? Kathy had been involved with 2 other men. However, both men had solid alibis, while Juan did not. He claimed Kathy mentioned staying with a friend named Carmel, but no further details were provided. Was this just a story made up to mislead the investigation?
And she left in what vehicle? Okay. That's the car she always drives, the black one, that Chevy Malibu.
We drive both of them, but when she's working, she drives the Malibu.
Okay. She left at 1:15, 1:30. She left early, and she's supposed to be at work at, okay, and then you said you got up at 6 a.m. Did y'all talk anymore between 1:15, or let's just say 1:15 and 6? Or was
texting?
It? Oh, texting.
She was supposed to come and get Lee that morning to make sure he made it to daycare, so that I wasn't late for work.
Okay.
I remember. Yeah, I told you that too. That day that way I'm not late to work because I have to be there at 7. So she takes Lee to daycare, and either she takes Nate to school or Nate walks.
Okay.
So.
On that day, you said there was some texting between 1:15 till 6 a.m. About what time did you go to sleep?
It was off and on. It was off and on. Like, every time she leaves the house, I can't sleep right. You know, so it's off and on. I'm either up every 30, awake, not up, moving around, awake.
Right.
Like, I'll wake up, tossing and turning every 30 minutes, every hour until we get up. Because Lee's asleep with me in the bed at that time. Okay.
He sleeps with both of y'all, correct? And then Nathan has his own. Nate has his own room, just right across the hall.
Yeah.
Okay. So about 6 a.m. you get up, and did y'all already make arrangements through text or by phone?
Through text.
Okay. She was going to come pick up.
She was going to be at the house at 6:45.
Okay. She's going to take Nate to school, or did he take the bus that day? Do you remember?
Sometimes he takes the bus, sometimes he walks. I don't remember that day. But it's not that I don't remember. I don't know because I'm gone already.
Okay.
When she got there at 6:45, I left.
Okay.
And she was there with Nathan and Lee.
And she makes sure that Nate gets to school, and she takes Lee to the daycare center. Okay. Obviously, that got done. And then between, you get to work at 7, and that's when you were working at Potbelly. And you got off work what time?
It was before 2.
During the interrogation, Juan recounts that morning's events, stating they argued over $180 he had taken from Kathy's purse. She wanted me to pay it back immediately, Juan says. But Kathy's anger wasn't just about money. When Juan returned home later that day, he found Kathy talking on the phone. She abruptly hung up as he entered, escalating the tension in the house. Was this the prelude to something far more sinister?
Tell me about Brian.
He's from Tobacco Alley.
And you owed him money?
Yeah, for a hot check. I remember I told you that.
And did you write it or she write it?
No, I wrote it.
Did you buy cigarettes or what did you buy with the hot check?
No, I just wrote a check to cash it because he cashes checks there.
Did you know it was going to be a hot check?
Yeah, but Kathy and I used to do that a lot because we knew the next day either she was getting paid or I was getting paid and the money was going to go into the account.
So by the time the check processes through the system, there would be money in the account. How much did you write that check for?
180.
Okay. Is that the only check you wrote? Okay. And then that's why you told her you were going to pay Brian.
When I told her that, but then later, remember that day when you were at the house, I showed you you saw the text where I tell her I paid Brian already.
Right. And then she wanted the $180. Is that the money that was used to pay Brian, or is that something else?
No, that was something else. I gave her that money.
Okay, you gave her back that money? When did you give it back to her?
When I saw her at the house that afternoon.
Okay.
When she got off work.
Kathy ultimately told Juan that she needed to leave for a while to think things over. Juan claims he left the house at 3:30 p.m. to pick up the kids, and that was the last time he saw her. However, the text messages he received from Kathy's phone afterward were cryptic. She claimed to be staying at a friend's house, but her vague response... Were those texts truly from Kathy?
Are those your texts with her?
Let's see, Wednesday, 6:31.
Can I see it?
You can read them all.
Yeah. Okay, Wednesday, 6:31 a.m. You're going to be the one in blue, and she's the one in red? Okay, you call her C.
Yeah.
Okay. Why all of a sudden did you want to pick up Lee? And she goes, I couldn't remember what was said about it because I was who or not. And you said yes. And that's Wednesday about 6:31 a.m. Well, I need at least the $180 that you took from my purse. My suggestion to you is to go put in truck and lock it up, and I will go by and pick up. About 9:07 a.m. she texts, I was calling to see if you got my message. You didn't respond. Don't leave work to bring it to me because I don't want her getting mad.
My boss. She was talking about my boss.
Wait. I went way too fast. And then you responded, you responded? Who's getting mad? She said your boss. Okay, then she's, about 11:44 a.m., she texts you, are you still there? And you text her, are you going to keep not talking to me? I paid Brian, we are in the same house, and you won't talk to me.
Detectives decided to use cell phone triangulation to locate Kathy's phone. What they discovered turned the investigation on its head. Kathy's phone wasn't far away. It was inside the very house she shared with Juan. This revelation completely contradicted Juan's account. He had something to hide, and the truth.
And then, when you get there, you give her the $180, correct? Okay, and then what happened after the $180?
Well, no, when I got there, I was walking up, and remember I told you she was on the phone. I could hear her on the phone through the window. When I walked in, she tossed the phone, and I was like, who you on the phone with, you know? And she was like, nobody, you know, and I was, you know, started, you know, talking again because it had been awkward in the house because she doesn't talk to us. She doesn't want her. The next 2 days she was supposed to be off, so I guess maybe she was making plans or something. Gave her the money, and we got talking, and then she was like, I said, I know you're, you know, sleeping around, you know. I mean, it hadn't been a secret, Rosie. I've been knowing for a while, you know. And so I hated it when we'd walk in or we'd see each other and she's acting like she has to hide something. Everybody around us knew that she was changing, you know, from her when she started losing all her weight. So anyway, she went to the room. I was in the kitchen for about 30 minutes, and she comes out and she's like, all right, look. And I start, you know, going through the text, and, you know, after that she was like, I'm just going to leave for a while and I'll come back when I'm ready to talk about this. You know, so I winded up leaving before her, though, at 3:30 to get the kids.
The friction between Juan and Kathy becomes increasingly evident through their text exchanges before her disappearance. Kathy demanded Juan return the money he had taken, and Juan admitted he had used it to settle a debt. Despite Juan's attempts to explain away the situation, the detective's suspicions grew. The text messages purportedly sent by Kathy, but handed over by Juan, appeared staged. The atmosphere in the interrogation room grew heavier with each passing moment. Behind Juan's composed facade, was he concealing a dark and chilling secret?
It was Thursday night, I think. When I texted her to see if she was going to come home, she said, just leave. I texted her something. I remember at one point I texted her, she said, leave me alone. Then the next time I texted her, I was like, are you going to come home tonight? She says, I'm staying with a friend. And I said, with who? Carmel.
Right.
And she said, that's not any of your business. Right. And that's the last time I ever heard from her, because it was Thursday, because then Friday, texting her, she wouldn't answer the phone, then tried to call her and the phone was off.
The tension in the interrogation room escalates. Detective Rosie plays her strongest card, data from Verizon. Juan, we obtained a search warrant and pulled all the data from both your phone and Kathy's, she states firmly. This revelation strikes directly at Juan's denials. The cell tower records reveal that Kathy's phone remained at his house until May 13, despite Juan claiming she left on May 11. Juan's face betrays his unease as he scrambles to explain, but each response only deepens the detective's suspicions.
Listen, because I want to make sure I got everything right. And I've listened to everything you said. I have some problems with some things I need to get cleared up. But there's some issues that I'm having with what you're telling me. I did, you know, I told you that I downloaded your phone to get those messages. But I'm going to tell you, I got a search warrant also for your phone through Verizon. And I got all your information from Verizon. I did the same thing to her phone. I don't have her phone physically, but I did a search warrant, and I got all the information from her cell phone. Phones and stuff, there's a phone that she had a lot of conversations with Chachi, and so did you. And there's a particular one, which I'm not quite understanding, is on Friday the 13th. She's gone, and you have her phone and your phone.
No, I didn't have her phone. I had been on the computer, and this is something else I was going to tell you. Here recently, somebody changed the password to the computer. I can't even get on the computer to log on to see what our bill is. I saw that Chachi had called Kathy's phone. You can see this stuff through the computer, like when incoming call stuff come. So I know she had been talking to Chachi a lot because he thought that I had stole his roommate's gun, or his gun, whoever's gun it was, when I was over there. So I texted him that Kat was asleep, and then texted him from, you can do this, because when I used to work with the DEA, and I would take Kat's phone with me, like when mine was dead, or take both phones, she would text me to the phone through the computer. She taught me how to do this. That's how I texted Chachi. I didn't have Kat's phone. I don't have Kat's phone.
Okay, first of all, the stuff I got didn't come from the computer. It came from Verizon, and it came from her cell phone. I'm going to tell you, he called Kathy. And you knew he called Kathy.
Through the computer?
Not through the computer, no, sir. Not through the computer.
Well, I don't know, Rosie, but I don't have Kat's phone.
You had it that day. And you know what else I know? When we did the search warrant, I did it for the cell site towers. And it shows to be at your house. Your phone is there, and her phone is there. All the way up to the 13th.
I've had my phone, and that's it.
Her phone is there as well. And I'm trying to find an explanation why her phone was at your house after she left on the 11th.
I don't know. Y'all searched the house, or y'all can search it again. There's no phone there.
After the 13th, I'm sure it's not there now, but I'm telling you, it was there up to the 13th. And that phone, those things come from the phone. It doesn't come from the computer. And it's showing at your house. Even when you went to Dino's Pizzeria, you had your phone, and her phone was there along with yours. Because I was able to follow you.
I understand all that, but I didn't have her phone.
Juan grows visibly agitated as Detective Rosie presses him on why Kathy's phone was still at his house after she supposedly left. He repeatedly denies having her phone. I don't have her phone. But the evidence from the cell tower data shows that both his and Kathy's phones were at the same location, their home. Piece by piece, the web of lies Juan has spun begins to unravel.
You say you've been watching my cell phone?
I did a search warrant from that day.
Where would I have taken her? But when I left and we got back, she was gone.
When you left in her car. When you went to go pay, you say you went to Skipper's and you were in her car. When you went to go pay Tobacco Alley, you were in her car.
Yeah,
when you went to the bank, you were in her car. And you hadn't gotten home yet. Because you went to Skipper's first, and you said you paid Tobacco Alley first before you went home. How did you have the car? You went to Skipper or whatever. How did you have the car?
When I got home, that's why I'm telling you, I couldn't remember. I think I might have been in the car that day because I remember at the bank.
But you said that when you did all of that before you went home to talk to her, she had the car. I have her at the car. Leaving HEB, there's no way you had the car.
The contradictions in Juan's story continue to surface. He initially claimed Kathy left in her car, but surveillance footage and GPS data prove otherwise. Her car never left the house after she returned at 6:45 a.m. on May 11th. If Juan says he used her car that day, how does that fit? Each question tightens the noose around his increasingly fragile narrative.
Do anything to Kathy. I don't know where she's at. I didn't dump her body nowhere like you're saying. I didn't do anything to her.
What do you think should happen to a person that did something like that to her?
They should have to pay.
Pay like how?
I don't know, to go to jail, go to prison.
What are you more scared of right now?
I'm not scared of anything. I didn't do anything. I don't have anything to hide. Why would I be scared?
Because something happened to Kathy and you did it.
No. Didn't do anything. You're going to sit here and stare at me all day?
I was saying, you're going to tell me.
I don't have anything to say. There's nothing to tell you. I keep telling you that. There's nothing for me to tell you.
At this point, Detective Rosie changes tactics, asking Juan a psychologically loaded question. If someone did something terrible to Kathy, what do you think they deserve? Juan hesitates before responding weakly, they should pay. When asked what he's most afraid of, Juan insists, I'm not afraid of anything. I didn't do anything wrong. His words are firm, but his eyes betray his fear. Is this the crack in his armor that the detectives have been waiting for?
I'm going to step out for a little bit and I'll be right back.
Yeah, round 2.
Whatever.
Can I talk to him for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mitch, don't even start, dude.
Just settle down.
Oh, man.
Listen, I'm going to tell you straight up, looking at you, I don't think you did anything.
Well, do you know, like, why is she
Relax.
just drilling me like that?
Because that's her job.
I know, but...
That's her job. And they're trying to figure out what happened. The only thing that bothers me is I don't think you did anything to her. I've known you for a long time, and I watch how you act, and I've talked to you a bunch of times. But I'm telling you, something happened. I don't think you did anything to her. But I think you know where she's at.
I don't know.
Hang on. And the reason, and I'm not going to bang you up, and I'll just get out of here and leave in a minute. But here's the deal. Why I think that is because I've known you for a while. I've known you for a long time. I've helped you out. I've always been straight up with you. I'm not going to blow smoke at you and all that stuff. I don't think you did anything. But I think something happened that you're not involved in, and like if she did something to herself or something happened, and I think because of your feelings for your kids and all that stuff, that you might have not wanted them to see it, and you might have moved something. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I can look in your eyes and tell I don't think you did anything. I've known you for a long time, but I know you know where she's at.
I don't know where she's at, Mitch. Those are games, too.
No, I'm not playing a game with you.
You're telling me that you don't believe I did something to her, so I can go ahead and tell you, yeah, okay.
No. I believe that because the way you looked at her when you were answering her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to tell you, the way you looked at her when you're answering her, when you said I didn't do anything, it was a very, very good answer. But when she said, did she do something to herself, and you adamantly said, I did not do anything to her. I'm just telling you, I've watched you for a long time. I've interviewed you on other things. So I know how...
In a sudden shift, Detective Mitch enters the room, adopting the role of the sympathetic ally. He says, I don't think you hurt her, but I think you know where she is. This approach seems to momentarily disarm Juan. Mitch theorizes that Juan may have acted under pressure or out of concern for his kids, and urges him to come clean before things get worse. Mitch's words dangle a thread of hope, suggesting that confessing might lighten the burden. But Juan still refuses to yield.
And I know how much you like, your relationship with your kids. I've seen you at school. I've seen you take your kids to school. So I know all that stuff. And I'm not going to play games with you. And I'll get out of here and leave in just a minute. But I'm just telling you, you're going to have to step up for their sake. And if you didn't do it, you know who, I'm not saying did anything criminal to her. I'm not saying any of that happened because I don't know. I'm just saying I believe that for whatever reason, people make strange decisions under stress, that somebody thought it was a better idea that A to happen as opposed to B. Basically, they think you have her phone, and you're saying you don't.
I don't have her.
You don't have. Have you ever had it?
Just when we're at home and we would before.
No, I'm talking about since this time. Have you had her phone at any time?
No.
Because you know that phone stuff is what we do, and so I'm going to tell you that it's going to ping where it pings. It's going to be where it's at, where these GPS coordinates say it's at, and it's going to say it's at your house at the same time as your phone is. Okay, and then there's a text message with you and this whoever Chachi is about her being asleep.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Well, and obviously she wasn't asleep. Why'd you say that?
I said I did it off of the computer because I wanted to know what they were talking about.
Yeah, well, the problem, I'm going to tell you, and I'll give you this. right here. I can tell you it wasn't from the computer. And I mean, I'm being honest with you. I can tell you it's not on the computer because if you would have sent it from your computer, the UTC code, the timestamp, would have been different because it would have been where you're sitting, not where Verizon is on their phone.
The most damning evidence comes from the timestamps. Detective Mitch explains that the text messages Juan claimed were sent from a computer couldn't have been. The UTC Universal Time Code from Verizon confirms that the messages came directly from Kathy's phone. Juan's face tightens as he realizes he's caught. But even as Mitch confronts him with irrefutable facts, Juan weakly denies, "I didn't send that message." What is he trying so desperately to hide?
You did not send this text message from a computer. It was sent from a device. And the reason I know that is because of this universal time code. Okay? Can't be sent from the computer because your computer is sitting in the central standard time zone because that's where you're at. You know, it tells you the time where you're at on your computer. Okay? The phone companies use what's the old Greenwich Mean Time, but now it's called Universal Time Code. So looking at what they got from their search warrant, this came from her device.
I didn't send that text
Okay.
message.
Well, then
I mean, I know what that says.
you said she was asleep, and you said, hey, you knew she got a text.
Yeah, through the computer.
No, you didn't,
Through
because
the
look,
computer.
I'm telling you, it came through her device. You saw her phone. You saw this message on her phone. So, man, I can't get you past that. I mean, I'll take up for you all I can, but I can't get you past that.
I understand.
And so I know you had her phone. And that's not helping you. You're probably making this a whole lot worse. It's bad, don't get me wrong, not for you, but I'm talking about the situation. You're probably making it a whole lot worse than if you just told what happened.
With nowhere left to turn, Juan is backed into a corner. Detective Mitch warns him that his lies are only worsening the situation. You need to step up and tell the truth, for your own sake and for your kids, Mitch implores. But Juan doubles down, insisting nothing happened between him and Kathy. His story is like a collapsing house of cards, each denial pulling it further down. The tension in the room becomes suffocating as the detectives push harder, sensing they're on the brink of the truth.
Nothing happened
Okay.
between me and Kat.
I didn't say it did between you and her, but the situation happened. Something happened that you ended up with her phone and texting back and forth with people. That, whether it may be completely righteous, that doesn't look good. And now that you've lied about it, you've got to get in front of it. Because this, I'm going to tell you, I'm a nuts and bolts dude, and you cannot, like I said, I believe you. I believe you didn't do anything. But you can't get past this is black and white. And so I know you used her phone. I mean, like I said, you do what you think you need to do, but you used her phone. And I know you're pissed off that the way they treated you and the way the cops acted towards you, I understand all that. But you're not going to get past this. It's not getting passable. You can say whatever you want to say, and they'll either believe you or you don't. But this, you cannot get past it.
I don't know, Mitch. But I know I didn't do anything to my wife, man, and Rosie's just adamant.
And that's fine. You tell me what happened then.
Nothing happened.
Okay, nothing happened between you. You keep saying that, and I believe you.
And I didn't get home and find Kathy dead or anything like that.
Okay, then what happened? You know she just didn't run off. Come on, dude. Y'all had troubles before. You told y'all separated 7 years ago. You've been together, what, 12, 14 years?
Oh, like 19,
Yeah,
almost 20.
19, 20 years. There's bumps in the road, and she may have been going on her way. But you know.
In the interrogation room, Detective Mitch continues to press Juan. This evidence is undeniable. You have to face it, Juan, Mitch says, his voice calm but firm. Yet Juan remains defiant. I didn't do anything. Despite being confronted with GPS data and information from Verizon, Juan refuses to back down. He tries to dismiss it as technical errors or misunderstandings. However, Mitch's patience is wearing thin. This is no longer a simple questioning. This is a high-stakes psychological battle between truth and deceit.
Things don't end like that. This is not TV, just like you said. It's not a movie. I can't tell you everything I did, but you know it also don't end like a movie. You got to tell, because you got an idea. You may not have done anything. And again, I'm going to tell you, sit right here and tell you 100% the truth. I don't believe you did anything to her. And I'm looking you man to man, eye to eye. But you better be able to figure out this situation, because you're not going to get past this. The phones are at the same location when the message was sent.
Regardless, Mitch, if I tell you I had her phone or I don't tell you I have her phone.
I know, you didn't do anything to her. I got you.
But still, that's not what I'm getting at. Rosie's going to put me in jail today regardless.
Oh, I don't think so, but I don't know anything about that. But what I'm saying is, you're not going to get past this. And you know I'm going to straight up shoot with you. I mean, that's just all it is. You had her phone. For whatever reason you had her phone, I don't know. And nobody will know unless you tell them. They may believe you and they may not. But at least you're going to tell your side of the story. Because right now, your side of the story ain't getting told. I'll get you past a bunch of this. But I can't get you past having her phone. Unless you tell them why you have her phone. And where the hell the phone is.
I don't know where the phone's at, Mitch.
Okay, where was it the last time you saw it?
When she had it on the 11th.
Dude, this text message is on the 13th. Okay? And I mean, I'm all with you.
Mitch shifts his approach, attempting to appeal to Juan's emotions. You need to have your voice in this story. Otherwise, all anyone will hear is the evidence against you, he says. Yet Juan clings to his story, only admitting that he had Kathy's phone, but claiming he doesn't know where it is now. His defenses seem impenetrable, but Mitch knows the undeniable evidence will eventually break through.
Except you're not going to get past this. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. That's what we do. They don't do so much of that. I do this all the time. These phones. I do it every single day. And I'm telling you, you're not getting past these right here are from your phone and her phone. They're close in proximity, and based on the GPS coordinates, they're at the same place. I can't get you past it. I mean, I can show you the science of it. I can show you the...
I don't need to see all that.
I mean, you probably know more about it than I do.
Nah, I just... I don't know nothing about all that. Where's Rosie? I need to ask her if I need to call my friend.
Well, she's mad at you. I mean, you're mad at her. But think about it. You put yourself in this situation. And I don't know all the facts, so don't give me... I'm not even going to talk about them, because I don't know all the facts. But whatever the facts they got, they believe something happened. And they believe you had something to do with it. So if you were over here, and you believe something happened, what would you be doing?
I'd be trying to
the
get someone
same
to tell me the
thing.
truth. Yeah.
Same thing. So, but you can't take it personal, and I realize that's not possible. I got you. It's not possible. I realize. But you can't take it personal that everybody's got their own beliefs. You have your own beliefs.
She's had it like that since day one when Kathy's dad told her what he told her, because that man ain't never like, you can't milk a cow that ain't for milking. You know,
yeah,
you got
I got you.
You know? And she's adamant that I did something to Kat, and I didn't, man.
Okay, that's great.
We've been through way worse things than that, Mitch, and I didn't.
Mitch introduces a key piece of evidence, the messages sent from Kathy's phone. These messages weren't sent from a computer like you claimed. They came from Kathy's phone, he says, looking Juan directly in the eyes. At this point, Juan begins to show visible signs of distress. While he tries to appear calm, his unease is clear. He shifts blame onto Detective Rosie, accusing her of treating him unfairly, but this deflection does little to shift Mitch's focus.
Never. So what if she was telling people she was done with me? That's been said before too, and we stayed together.
Oh, exactly. It happens every day. I mean, it happens every day. Probably multiple times. And like I said, I believe you didn't do anything to her. But I can't get you past some of the hard evidence that they're going to use, unless they got a better explanation, they're going to use to make you look bad. Unless you got a better explanation. I mean, I went and looked at the actual return from Verizon. Okay? I looked at both phones' cell phone coordinates, the timestamp between the text that was happened before and the text, because obviously I knew when she texted you at some point and you text her, you weren't at the same place. When she says, I'm at work, and I checked the universal timestamp on that to where it shows it's coming from to your house. To your work at Potbelly or whatever that is, and they're in different places. So it shows. So when these two are this close together, but both phones are in the same place, and that's bought and paid for. I can't fix it, and I can't change it. That is what it is. So, all I can tell you is this is going to look real bad unless you have an explanation of why it happened. A reasonable explanation of why it happened. And I can tell you, and you know it as well as I do, for whatever reason, she may have been gone.
Finally, Juan admits to taking Kathy's phone on May 11th, the day she was reported missing. I took it to check her messages, he says. But this only raises more questions. Why did he keep her phone after she disappeared? Mitch presses on, emphasizing that GPS data shows both phones remained at the same location for days after. Juan's confusion is becoming more apparent, but he continues to deny any wrongdoing.
But you're texting on her phone. And I don't blame you. I'd have been trying to find out what was going on too.
Look, Mitch, I'm going to tell you this, but I know it's just going to lead to something else. So,
okay,
she's going to be, and I know they're listening. Whoever,
oh yeah, you know that.
It's going to lead to, okay, well, if you're lying about this, then what else are you lying about?
That's right. It will. Hang on. It will. Except at least you will have a voice in this. Because right now, you do not have a voice in this.
Okay, look, the day she gave me the phone,
okay,
I took off with it.
All right.
When I left to go pay Brian and pick up the boys, I left with the phone and wouldn't give it back to her and left the house.
Okay.
So when we got back and she was gone, I figured either she went to her dad's or Carmel picked her up.
So you're saying that she had her phone. When she showed you the text messages, you took it.
Yeah, I took the phone and left.
I would have too. So you left, but once you come back, she's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, where's the phone?
I had it.
No, but where is it at now?
It's probably in the house somewhere. Lee's been playing with it because it has games on it.
Okay. You need to get that and let them have it. Because then you can at least, they can look at it and see that there's not a bunch of other bad shit going on it. Mm-hmm. And you have your voice in it. Okay? So, like I said, and you know as well as I do, yeah, it'll come up. Well, if you lied about that, what else you lied about? I'm going to tell you, I don't believe you did anything. But just like I told you, you're going to have to man up at some point. If there is something, I'm not talking about you doing anything criminal.
When Mitch suggests that Juan may have acted in a moment of weakness, possibly moving Kathy's body to protect his children from seeing it, Juan immediately denies it. He even tries to argue that Kathy was too big for him to move, claiming he had a bad back. But Mitch doesn't relent, pointing out that all the evidence points to Juan hiding something significant.
But if people get messed up in the brain, and you think, man, I'm going to get in trouble, the kids, I'm going to lose my kids, all that stuff can happen. And if I move and take this, maybe she went out and she committed suicide or whatever. or you found her that way and you moved her.
Now I'm not talking smack about my wife. That's a big girl, Mitch. I got a bad back. I can't pick up a lot of stuff.
All right.
You know, there's if something like that had happened, there's no way I could have picked her up by myself.
Okay. Did anybody help you?
No.
Okay. Well,
No.
there you go. See, now you got some stuff that you can try to work. What do you think happened?
Honestly, she was it's like I told Rosie yesterday when I was letting her see my phone about stuff. Here lately, Kat, she's gone through a lot of changes, Mitch. She won't talk to me. She'll tell her friends all kinds of stuff like this shit. If something happens to me, it wasn't an accident, it was Juan. But I don't believe that for 1 minute.
It doesn't matter whether Juan believed it or not because Kathy's fears were grounded in reality.
I want you to look me right in the eye, and I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Did you do anything to your wife?
No, sir,
Okay.
I didn't.
If you didn't, did you find her when she had done something to herself?
No. I don't. And if she had done something to herself, I don't believe she would have done it right there in the house for us to find her. She knew I was going to get the kids. Why would she want the kids to see something like that?
Okay. So after she's gone, and you know she's left before and walked around or gone wherever, and she shows back up in a certain amount of time. At some point, you start wondering, well, obviously all this stuff about you calling her and texting her, why were you doing that?
Juan attempts to deflect the conversation by discussing Kathy's recent behavioral changes. He mentions how she once told friends, "If anything happens to me, it's not an accident, it's Juan." While Juan dismisses this as paranoia, Mitch knows that Juan's history of domestic violence and infidelity paints a much darker picture. Despite Juan's attempts to portray himself as the victim of a cheating wife, the detectives are piecing together a very different story.
Because I wanted to see where she was at. Or
The problem
maybe
is you had her phone.
I know. But I was texting these people because I wanted it to be like, okay, well, Kat, you're here with us. Who's got your phone?
Okay. So you were texting people acting like you were her to try to get people to say, who the hell is this? Okay. To see if you could figure out where she was at. Anybody in particular that you had an idea that she might go to?
Just those 2 guys that she was fooling around with in Carmel.
Who's Carmel?
Carmel Wynn. Her sister's, or I guess it's her sister, yeah. Crystal's married to Dimitri, a police officer, black guy.
Yeah,
Here.
I have no idea.
Anyway, it's her best friend. It's supposed to be her best friend.
Okay. So you thought, but you've talked to her since. So obviously she doesn't know where she's at, or you don't believe she knows where she's at.
No, she just told me. I don't believe anything that comes out of that girl's mouth.
Okay. Well, let me go check on this, and I'll get another detective. Somebody, I don't know who brought you up here. So.
Melendez or Mendez, something like that.
All right. Well, hang on just 1 second. You need another drink, or you good?
Yeah, I'll take another one.
Shit.
After Detective Mitch leaves, Juan's interview concludes as he spends some time talking to a friend on the phone. At this point, detectives didn't have enough grounds to charge him for Kathy's disappearance, but they were able to arrest him for his credit card abuse as he drained Kathy's accounts.
Okay, are you willing to talk to me about Kathy? I know you're the one that requested to speak to me in regards to Kathy. So, what did you want to talk to me about her?
I just wanted to know if y'all found anything out.
Yeah, we found some stuff in the investigation, yes.
A month later, after being jailed for abusing Kathy's bank account, Juan surprises everyone by requesting to meet Detective Rosie, the very person he had criticized so strongly. During the meeting, Juan offers no new information, merely repeating his original story word for word. This raises a critical question. Why would Juan voluntarily arrange this meeting? Is he trying to manipulate the situation, or is this a desperate attempt to regain control?
Stuff that I need to get cleared with you because there's some discrepancies of what you told me than what I'm finding out. Are you willing to talk to me and try to get that discrepancies cleared up?
Yeah.
And there's no doubt that you did something to her.
I didn't do anything to her, Rosie.
She's not going to leave all her belongings. She's not going to leave her clothes. She's not going to leave her driver's license. She's not going to leave her Social Security, her checks, her credit cards, her debit card behind. She's not going to leave that. She's not, her phone, she has nowhere to go. She was there.
I don't know, Rosie. I
As far as that, I didn't do anything to Kat. We've been through way worse stuff than that. Anybody that knows us
This
will tell
time
you that.
it was worse than ever because she was done with you. She was kicking you out of the house.
She wasn't kicking me out. That never came out of her mouth, and if it had, I didn't know about it. She must have told somebody else. She never told me anything like that. And if it was like that, if she wanted me gone that bad, she knew at any time she could go to her dad's.
She was going. You were out, not her, out of the house.
What I'm saying is, if she wanted me out, she knows I ain't got anywhere to go. She would have gone to her dad's.
She let you stay there for that reason, because you had nowhere to go. And she needed you to take care of the kids, so when she goes at 2 o'clock in the morning to work, the kids wouldn't be by themselves.
The interrogation reaches a critical point. Detective Rosie emphasizes an undeniable fact. Kathy would never leave home without her credit cards, phone, and important documents. Yet Juan continues to deny any involvement. He insists that while they had their conflicts, he did nothing to harm her. Rosie doesn't relent. You know how this system works. If you don't tell the truth, you don't stand a chance, she warns, her sharp gaze cutting through Juan's lies.
Oh, because she was here lately. She had never been around for the kids.
Everyone says different.
No, everyone did.
I know. Now, I'm not saying you're a bad father, because you've always been there for them, but she was the provider. So she's always been for the kids, because she's always been the provider.
Listen, she's going to go on what the evidence is, whatever that may be, okay? You know what it is as well as anybody. I mean, I don't know. If it's her DNA in the car, you're not going to be able to come up with a reasonable explanation of that. You started off this whole deal bad by lying to him to begin with. That doesn't look good for you, okay? So whatever it may be, you have those humps that you're going to have to overcome if you didn't do it. But here's the problem, is that you know as well as I do, it's basically a puzzle. And all these pieces are falling against you, not for you. And I don't care what anybody else said about what you and her said to each other, because that, to me, that doesn't make much difference. The bottom line is there's physical evidence and forensic evidence that you're not going to be able to explain. I can't explain it. So if something happened and it wasn't the way they're going to make it seem, if it's not the way that they're going to portray it, you better portray it the way it happened. Because I'm going to tell you, you know how the system works. And you don't have a shot. You know that if you don't come up with some definitive evidence, regardless of what all that stuff says, you don't have a shot. So please, if there's an alternative portrayal of this, then you better provide it.
The tension in the room becomes palpable. Rosie pleads, if something happened that you haven't told us, now's the time to say it. This will change how the jury sees you. But Juan remains silent, repeatedly claiming he doesn't know where Kathy is. Every passing moment makes it clearer that Juan is hiding something. His shifting eyes and stiff body betray cracks in his facade.
If something off the cuff happens, something bad, something whatever, it is what it is. That's not going to change anything. What's going to change stuff is how people are going to look at you, how prosecutors are going to look at you, and how jurors are going to look at you if the family and people that are involved in this get some type of closure. Because that's not going to happen. That's not going to stop you from going to prison or worse. So please, if there's an alternative to this, tell her. Let's get her found and let's get her back so you can deal with what you need to deal with, her family can deal with what they need to deal with. Because it's not going to get any better for you unless you make those steps to mitigate have some remorse if something happens. Have some feelings if something happens. There's a lot of things that play into that. But you're not going to get any benefit of that unless you step forward and help her find and tell us where she's at. Then you can start healing yourself, because it's not going to happen. And it's not going to change the outcome. It'll better the outcome if you step up and do the right thing. But it's not going to change the outcome if you don't. So please, do the right thing.
Rosie shifts tactics, appealing to Juan's emotions. Kathy's family deserves to know the truth. If you didn't do anything wrong, prove it by helping them find her. But Juan responds with a weak denial, his voice beginning to tremble. Rosie presses harder. You have a chance to make this right. Don't let the pain drag on any longer. This is the pivotal moment. Will Juan confess, or will he dig deeper into his lies?
And it is what it is. We're to the end of this. You're fixing to either fall off the mountain or start working your way back up. That's it. That's where we're at. So I'm telling you, as somebody that don't believe you're that bad a guy, you've made some mistakes, but for somebody that really doesn't believe, knowing you as long as I've known you, that you're not that bad a guy, please do the right thing. And let's finish this. All it's doing is stringing out. Don't make that happen anymore. You can stop a lot of the pain, but you gotta man up. Mistakes are made. Fix it. Just tell us where she's at.
I don't know where she's at, Mitch. I don't know where she's at. I don't know where she's
Then
at.
who does?
I don't know, Mitch.
Look at what you're looking at. Look at the evidence. Just look at the evidence.
I don't know what the evidence
I'm
is.
telling you, there's her blood in the car, your initial lies, and she hasn't turned up.
The way Mitch talked to me about you, it would be something that wouldn't happen. Like you didn't wake up that morning intentionally, and you had all this drawn out plan to kill her. He said you're not a cold-blooded killer. And if Mitch tells me that, I believe Mitch. And that's what Mitch said, that you're not a cold-blooded killer. If it was something that happened, like an accident, something else, and this is the time for us to know, because this is the time that's going to help you, and we can start understanding what's going on. But if Mitch tells me you're not a cold-blooded killer, then you're not. And that's what he said.
Rosie revisits the forensic evidence. Kathy's blood in the truck, GPS data, and her unexplained absence. Suddenly, Juan's demeanor shifts. He admits they had a heated argument on the day she disappeared, during which he said things he regretted. Yet even now, Juan clings to his innocence, portraying himself as a misunderstood husband trapped in an unfortunate situation.
I'm not a killer, period.
Maybe she did something to herself, and you didn't think anybody would believe you. So you tried to make it like she ran off. That's in my mind, when they started talking about it, that's what I believed. It got stressful for her. She did something to herself. You stumbled into it. Then you think, nobody's going to believe me. I'm on federal probation. We've been having troubles. All this stuff. And so I'm stuck. What am I going to do? I've got to try to make it look like she disappeared. Ran off on her own.
I didn't do anything to Kat.
Okay?
Freaking pills, wasn't it?
I don't know what it was, Rosie. I just know that I told her that day like, why did she wait till she was 41 years old to do what she was doing? You know, I had quit drinking for her. I quit the music business for her. After the first time I got in trouble when I met Mitch and them, You know, I promised that I would never go back like a lot of these dope dealers do.
And you haven't.
And I told her that she was stupid. You know, how could she do this to the kids, you know? And
Finally, Juan admits that when he returned home, he found Kathy lying motionless on the kitchen floor between the stove and the refrigerator. He shakily describes a cut on her body but offers no explanation for how it got there. "I panicked," he says. But is this the truth, or another calculated lie to obscure the grim reality?
I don't know, I talked pretty bad to her that day.
Hey, look, it's not your fault if she did something to herself. People do strange things.
I don't know what she did to herself.
Okay. Okay, so what happened?
All I know is I left the house that day and she came out after me into the front yard and was yelling at me that, because I told her that I'd rather be gone with the kids than to see her do this to all three of us. You know, Nathan, I told Nathan straight up the day before that I thought his mom was really cheating, you know, and because Nathan could tell stuff was going on, you know, and asking questions, and I didn't want to lie to him.
He's a smart boy.
And you've done a good job raising him.
Huh?
You've done a good job raising him.
Anyway, when I was leaving, she says, I told her, you need to just go to your dad's. I don't want to see you when I come back. And I said, remember how you used to talk down to me and that I was a piece of shit, you know, when I was doing the stuff I was doing? I said, well, you're a f***ing piece of shit, you know. And,
just breaking up the family.
And I told her that. Anyway, when I got back home, I had gone to pay.
Juan continues his story, admitting that he placed Kathy's body in his truck and drove her to a remote area near some oil rigs. "I didn't know what to do," he says, attempting to paint himself as a panicked man acting out of confusion. But the detectives are not convinced. His story raises more questions than answers, and every word he utters deepens their suspicion.
Go to the bank and pay Brian. I mean, I don't know if she took all those pills, Rosie. I mean, only.
I saw those bottles right there and they were empty.
Yeah, but I don't know when she was taking those pills or whatever.
So you got home.
I got home and she was laying on the kitchen. On the kitchen floor between the stove and the refrigerator.
I mean, was she like bleeding or was she just laying there?
Like passed out?
She was laying down face first. I turned her over and she had a cut right here. That's how I found her.
Okay. So then what happened?
You panicked.
I panicked because I'm on federal paper and my record, you know, and
It's understandable.
and the kids.
We've got to hold it together for just a little bit more. So you put her in the car?
No, I put her in the truck. It took me a while because of my back and my leg.
Juan eventually leads detectives to the location where he claims to have left Kathy's body. But when they find her, the scene doesn't match his description. Kathy's body shows clear signs of strangulation. This was no suicide. Juan had mixed truths with lies to construct a false narrative that she took her own life. But the brutal truth is finally exposed.
The whole time I was just mad, like, what did you do? What did you do? You know, and because when I told her she was a piece of shit, she was like, when I got busted back in 2010 or whatever, I told her I'd just rather be dead. She was mad about everything, and I told her, well, I should just, myself, and she says, well, if I'm a piece of shit, then I don't deserve to be with you. She was mad at herself, just like I told you Carmel told me that she had been mad at herself. And I don't know if she took pills or what she did.
You put her in the truck, and where did you take her?
I wrapped her up in some blankets, and I took her up there on, what is that highway going towards San Angelo?
What, 158? Okay.
There's a bunch of pump jack derricks out there, and there's a ravine or something, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with her.
Okay, did you just like lay her down out there?
Yeah.
Okay, how far off the roadway is it?
I don't even know the name of the road. It's
Like 1379? How far out is it?
Man, it's a pretty good ways out there. It's where Pioneer was drilling out there.
Okay.
You take her pillows also to make her comfortable.
At trial, Juan finally admits to strangling Kathy to death in a fit of rage over arguments about money and infidelity. He had tried to fabricate a story to avoid blame, but forensic evidence and his eventual confession sealed his fate. Juan Gonzalez, who killed his wife in a moment of uncontrollable anger, was sentenced to life in prison for murder and evidence tampering.
All right, well, this is what we're going to do, okay? You're going to smoke you a cigarette and drink you some Coke, and then we're going to load you up in a car and you're going to take us, okay?
All right.
Ultimately, Juan Gonzalez had to face the truth and pay for his actions. He was sentenced to life in prison for murder, along with additional charges of evidence tampering. A life filled with regret and confinement is the price he must pay for his uncontrollable rage and deceit. This story serves as a powerful reminder that justice always prevails, and wrongdoing can never remain hidden forever. Share your thoughts on this case in the comments below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss our upcoming captivating content. Plus, join us to enjoy exclusive perks and uncover more shocking stories in the near future. The killer husband, what seemed like a perfect plan to cover up a crime completely unraveled. This video takes you into a gripping investigation where every piece of evidence connects to reveal the chilling truth about Juan Gonzalez, a husband who thought he could get away with murdering his wife. You'll be captivated by the details of his confession, the uncovering of GPS data, and the shocking conclusion of the case. Don't miss this intense journey to uncover the truth. Hit the subscribe button now so you won't miss more thrilling videos like this and get early notifications for exclusive content created just for you. The interrogation begins with an unmistakable tension in the air. Juan Gonzalez, a 45-year-old man, sits before the detectives, appearing calm, but his every answer reveals troubling inconsistencies. "I don't know where she is," he says, his voice trembling slightly, while his eyes seem to avoid direct contact. The detectives notice something unusual from the very start. Contradictory statements, signs of deception, and mounting evidence make Juan the prime suspect. His outward demeanor might seem trustworthy, but is it all just a facade?
Well, then, here a few months ago, I started noticing like she would hide her phone. She put a password on her phone, things like that. And I could walk in on her, she'd be on the phone, and she'd be like, okay, let me let you go. And it started getting to where here recently, like I asked her, who you talking to? None of your business, She said she's going to stay with a friend. It's there in the text messages.
Okay.
And I said
Did you say what friend she's going to stay, or just a friend?
A friend, or Carmel Wynn. Anyway, so I said, with who, Carmel? And she said, it's none of your business. So then I left her alone.
On the morning of May 11th, 2016, Juan reported that his wife, Kathy Lewin, was missing. According to him, she left the house at 1:30 a.m. for her early shift at HEB. But then things started to get strange. Not only did Juan withdraw money from Kathy's bank account after she disappeared, but bloodstains were also found in the back of his truck. Behind the mask of a worried husband, could there be a meticulously crafted plan?
Okay, Juan, what I want to do is talk to you about what I found about your wife. Are you willing to talk to me and discuss what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I had told you, I did find out, I did a bunch of research. I had gone to HEB, not just that, but also went to the cookie place where you and your wife worked, and did a lot of research, and I found out that she did have a double life. And she kept secrets from you, but she also kept secrets. She had 2 lovers.
Yeah, I knew that already.
Yes, and she kept secrets between them too. Mm-hmm. Okay? And on Wednesday, the day that she left, I need to go back and revisit and make sure I have all my bases covered on what exactly happened that morning. You said Wednesday, she goes in from what time to what time at HEB?
She was working that day. She went in at 2 in the morning.
Okay.
Supposed to be till 10:30, but she doesn't ever get off at that time.
Okay. And she works in the bakery as the assistant manager?
Mm-hmm. Assistant lead manager.
Okay, what time did you wake up? Were you awake when she left that morning? Or she leave without you even knowing it?
I get up to check if I wake up and she's gone already,
Mm-hmm.
I wake up to make sure the front door is locked, like the screen door and the front door.
Okay.
Which, when I got up, it was already 6 o'clock because I get up to go to work at 7 in the morning.
Okay. So when she left to go to work at 2 a.m., were you up or asleep?
I was up.
Okay. What time did she leave?
She left early, like I told you that day. She had been leaving way before it was time to go. She probably left like 1:15, 1:30.
Okay.
The cracks in their marriage begin to surface. Juan admits that his relationship with Kathy had been strained. The reason? Kathy had been involved with 2 other men. However, both men had solid alibis, while Juan did not. He claimed Kathy mentioned staying with a friend named Carmel, but no further details were provided. Was this just a story made up to mislead the investigation?
And she left in what vehicle?
The car.
Okay. That's the car she always drives, the black one, that Chevy Malibu.
We drive both of them, but when she's working, she drives the Malibu.
Okay. So you think she left at 1:15, 1:30. She left early, and she's supposed to be at work at HEB at 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you said you got up at 6 a.m. Did y'all talk anymore between 1:15 or let's just say 1:15 and 6? Or was
texting?
Or texting?
She was supposed to come and get me that morning to make sure he made it to daycare so that I wasn't late for work.
Okay.
I remember, I told you that too, that day. That way I'm not late to work because I have to be there at 7. So she takes me to daycare. And either she takes Nate to school or Nate walks.
Okay.
So.
On that day, you said there was some texting between 1:15 till 6 a.m. About what time did you go to sleep?
It was off and on. Like every time she leaves the house, I can't sleep right. Okay. So it's off and on. I'm either up every 30, awake, not up, moving around, awake.
Right.
Like I'll wake up, tossing and turning every 30 minutes, every hour until we get up. Because Lee's asleep with me in the bed at that time. Okay.
He sleeps with both of y'all, correct? Mm-hmm. And then Nathan has his own. Nate has his own room, just right across the hall.
Yeah.
Okay. So about 6 a.m. you get up, and did y'all already make arrangements through text or by phone?
Through text.
Okay. She was going to come pick up.
She was going to be at the house at 6:45.
Okay. She's going to take Nate to school, or did he take the bus that day? Do you remember?
Sometimes he takes the bus, sometimes he walks. I don't remember that day. But it's not that I don't remember. I don't know because I'm gone already.
Okay.
When she got there at 6:45, I left.
Okay.
And she was there with Nathan and Lee.
And she makes sure that Nate gets to school and she takes Lee to the daycare center. Okay. Obviously that got done. And then between, you get to work at 7, and that's when you were working at Potbelly. And you got off work what time?
It was before 2.
During the interrogation, Juan recounts that morning's events, stating they argued over $180 he had taken from Kathy's purse. She wanted me to pay it back immediately, Juan says. But Kathy's anger wasn't just about money. When Juan returned home later that day, he found Kathy talking on the phone. She abruptly hung up as he entered, escalating the tension in the house. Was this the prelude to something far more sinister?
Tell me about Brian.
He's from Tobacco Alley.
And you owed him money?
Yeah, for a hot check. I remember I told you that.
And did you write it or she write it?
No, I wrote it.
Did you buy cigarettes or what did you buy with the hot check?
No, I just wrote a check to cash it.
Okay.
He cashes checks there.
Did you know it was going to be a hot check?
Yeah, but Kathy and I used to do that a lot because we knew the next day either she was getting paid or I was getting paid and the money was going to go into the account.
So by the time the check processes through the system, there would be money in the account. Okay. How much did you write that check for?
180.